Hi everybody, welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about lab management and how to use global load generators with WebLOAD load testing. So before I dive into this new specific feature, I want to just give an overview of what the other capabilities and what are load generators and etc. So load generators are the machines that we use to generate load. You have a WebLOAD script that you want to run. If you want to run it with a certain amount of users, your local machine where you have the console, which is the one that controls the test, may not have enough resources and bandwidth, CPU, memory, network to perform all the users that you want. So that's where you use load generators to distribute the load. So those are extra machines that you have. They can be Linux or Windows, and they basically get the commands, the scripts and the text file and everything that needs to be ran. They get it from the console and then they generate a load. So we have simple load generators, local load generators. So those are machines that you have in your network that you install manually WebLoad on them and you start test talk, so they are running. This is one type of machine. And then we have cloud-based machines. Those are machines that we automatically create. So there's another video that talks about it, but if you want to create the machines instead of having them on your local network or even in the cloud that you need to reinstall, and if you have a new version you need to reinstall them. So we have this thing that automatically starts them. You just say I need an Amazon machine that big in this region, and it will be spin up automatically for you. That's using your own cloud provider, so you specify your credentials, you pay for it directly, not through Radview. So that's another option for load generators. Then it's worth mentioning that we have a completely managed solution, SaaS. So in SaaS environment, you don't need to have any load generators because all the consoles and load generators are managed by Radview anyway. So those are what we had until now, and now I'm talking about a global lab load generators, and they are talking about how if you use local load generators, how do you say which one is used for each test? All right, this is an example of a setup that you can have. You have two different consoles and a few different tests. Maybe they are managed by a single dashboard, or maybe not. It's not a prerequisite for this feature. Maybe you just have several different consoles, and then you have some tests that you want to run, and you have some load generators in your uh, local environment, in your lab, in your network. You need to decide which load generator is going to be used for which test. So let's say we're going to use for this test this one and that one, and this test would say that it's using also this one and that one. What happened if you run those tests concurrently? They would both reuse the same load generator, and that's not what you were expecting. Maybe it doesn't have enough capacity to run both of these tests together, so that's not ideal. So currently you need to kind of manually manage it, say, no, this one uses that one and not this one for now. But then again, it becomes hard to manage it. And also sometimes you run, since WebLoad 12.2, you can run tests also concurrently in the same console via the dashboard. So if you have a WebRM, a floating license that allows you to run more than one test, you don't need to have more, you don't need to have three consoles to run three tests. You can run them on the same console, but still you would have the same problem. So this test and that test, which load generator to use. So what this new feature is about, um, it would automatically allocate the test. So if this test would run and it needs two load generators, it would say, all right, allocate this one, and now this would be marked as busy, and allocate that one. This would be, sorry, allocate this one for this test, and it would be busy. And now when this test comes along, it would say, oh, this machine is busy. I would take that machine and this machine. So that way, as long as you have enough capacity, then you have the available machines, one available would be picked up for you. So that's the idea of this lab management feature. All right, now let me show you it in action. All right, so this is my WebLoad dashboard. That you would need the dashboard because that's the thing that manages the groups of the load generators. as I said, you don't need to run the test via the dashboard, but this is where you manage the load generator. So there is a new entry called global lab LGs. These are the global load generators, and you will see here the list of your load generators, and you will have here the IP or the name of the actual machine that you want to use. Um, so yeah, when you add them, they basically have a name, and that's all you need, or maybe some IP address that you have locally in your lab. That's the actual machine that you want to be the load generator. In group, we don't have to specify it. It's an optional thing if you want to have, and then you can use it in the filter. If you don't use groups, then every test would run would just pick any load generator from the list. But if you want to say, let's say, some of your machines are in the QA lab and the other ones are in a different lab. So when you use them, you say, yeah, pick one of the machines, but only if they are part of this group, or maybe you have, yeah, machines with different network setting, different bigger, smaller, so you can use the grouping thing for that. But you don't have to. Otherwise, we just pick one of the list. So I have here, yeah, several different load generators. Those are the LG1, LG2. Those are the machines that I have. You can see one of them is currently busy. It's running a test on that console. And then the other are available. So anything which is available is going to be used. And now I can show you what it looks like in the console side. How do we use them? All right, so this is the WebLOAD console where I'm going to define a test. Use some demo script, and this is where I'm going to select my load generators. Um, so this is the usual thing. You can use load generators by their name. So this would be the IP address or name of the machine that I want. But now we want, instead of specifying it manually, we want to use those dynamic cloud load generators that I defined there. Um, so what going to do, you're going to use a cloud account. Those are not strictly cloud machines. This is where you define your actual cloud machine. So if you have Amazon or Azure or one of these machines, this is where you would define them. But because they are dynamic machines, we consider them like private cloud, local cloud. So that's where they are defined. So I have here the lab load generator, and that would be the group of them. Let me call it lab LG, whatever. Yeah, that's that's just the names of the machines would have. You can combine and mix them. You can use some of those your lab LGs, and you can also use Amazon machines and Azure machines. The reason we don't need to manage them because Amazon manages them. So if you have two tests using the same machine, it doesn't matter because Amazon will keep giving you new load generators. But if they're local, we want to manage them. So here is where where is the dashboard basically that manages them. So the default one is localhost 3000. Obviously, this is only useful when you're running it on the same machine on the dashboard, but the whole purpose is for it to be several different consoles. So normally, you would need to expose the dashboard, port 3000 to your machines all the consoles that you want to use it, and this would be kind of my dashboard, the name of the machine that has this dashboard, that would be where it's running. The next thing down is the credentials. You need to give access to this API that controls them to be able to add and remove. It's controlled by credentials. So this you need to have an API key for that. And I'll show you how you get them. So now, so on the dashboard, if we go to API keys here on my menu, you need to be an administrator for that, and you go to API keys. Then you can create an API key. So this is going to be console lab LG. And yeah, so I'm going to give it at least an editor level. I'm going to create it. And I'm going to have this key. This is the thing that I need. So that is the key that you can use as an API to make changes. And this is what we're going to use in the console. So credentials. Those are the credentials. Um, And the group, as I said, it's optional. You don't have to use it, but if you want, so if I'm gonna get status, just make sure that it's connected, and it says, yep, we have four available machines, one busy. If you remember, one of them was actually set as it was busy running something else. But if I'm gonna use a different group, let's say I'm gonna use QA, then there's only one available here. So there's one busy and three others that are not part of this group. So I'm just gonna use any one of these list. Okay, all right. So now that I defined it, I can create how many machines of those. Those are not really machines. Those are those don't really map to the machines. These are just like we do in the other cloud machines. Those are a template of the machine. It's just gonna say how many of them I need for this test. So I'm gonna create four of them. So I have the option to select four of them. So I see them here. But actually for my test, I only need two. So I'm gonna use LG1 and LG2. So and again, I don't know which one of them it would be. Dynamically, when we actually start the test, one of my some of my machines will be used. And then the rest of the thing we define normally, we define the schedule, what is running, how for how long. I'm gonna use here like a wrap up model for yeah, that's fine. Start with one user and with 10 for 15 minutes. All right. Okay, so now I will run it and we'll see how we get machines allocated. All right, so as you can see, I got LG2 is mapped to this one and LG3 is mapped. So I'm getting LG2 and LG3 as the machines for my test. And let's see what it's updating. All right, so now we can see that LG1 was already busy before, but now LG2 and LG3 are also busy. You can see they're running a different execution. So this is an example of two tests that are actually running on the same console. If you would have a different console, that would say which console is busy running it. All right. So yeah, now my test is working, and let me stop the test. All right. So now the machines are released. Basically, if it was real cloud machines, they would get terminated here, but because it's just local, they're just marked as available again. Yep, and you can see that now they're back to be available. This other test can still run, not changed. That's it. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more information about how to use cloud load generators, we have a different video about that. And if you have any other question, then feel free to contact us. Thank you. Have a good day.